We have already talked about how keeping our blood sugar in a healthy range is important. Now let's talk about the tests that help monitor our blood sugar and tell us if we are in balance. There are two tests that help you and your healthcare teams monitor your blood glucose. The first is a test called A1C and is done at your doctor's office or in a laboratory. The second is blood glucose monitoring, and you usually do this yourself. It can be done anywhere. A1C is important to you and your provider. It tells both of you how well your diabetes has been managed over the last 2 to 3 months. This includes what you are doing as well as the medication you are taking. If you are working hard to manage your diabetes and taking your diabetes medications regularly, but still have a high A1C, talk to your provider about a change in medications. Generally, we want our A1C to be below 7. Ask your doctor for your A1C target. It can be different for different people. Glucose monitoring is important for you. This test shows you what your blood glucose is at that moment. Therefore, monitoring your blood glucose allows you to make adjustments in day-to-day management. For example, if you find that your blood glucose is nearly always 190 2 hours after eating, and you are eating that amount consistently, then you need a different medication or a change in the dose of what you are taking now. Or if you prefer, you could adjust your usual meal plan by eating less, or you could take a walk. We will talk much more about this later. If we use our example of the car, monitoring your blood sugar is like the gas gauge. It allows you to see if you have too little or just the right amount of fuel. However, monitoring your blood sugar is better than a gas gauge because it also tells us when we have too much fuel or sugar. This is the information you need to make informed decisions. It is not a judgment of your diabetes management. Driving a car without a gas gauge might get us into some tricky and unpleasant situations. The same is true with monitoring our blood glucose. Monitoring our blood sugar and writing it down can help us see patterns in our blood sugar levels. How many of you with diabetes have monitored or tested your blood sugar at home? Some of you may not be monitoring right now. Although you don't have to monitor, doing so will give you information to help you manage your diabetes. It helps you learn how your body reacts to exercise, stress, and food, and to make wise decisions. As we said, not monitoring is like driving a car without a gas gauge. You really do not know if you have the fuel to reach your destination or if you have overfilled the fuel tank. Not knowing how high or low your blood glucose is makes diabetes management much harder. If you are not monitoring, we suggest you consider starting. If you do not know how to do this, talk to your healthcare provider or diabetes educator. The goal for people with diabetes is to keep their blood sugar within a normal range. This changes throughout the day though. Blood sugar at any time above 180 is too high. Before meals, blood glucose should be between 80 and 130. 2 hours after meals, blood sugar should be less than 180. Blood sugar at any time below 70 is too low. Today, we are going to start talking about what healthy eating means. Healthy eating is one of the most important tools to help us manage our diabetes. Food is very important to each of us. We saw this when we shared what our most important problems were earlier. We've developed our eating habits over many years, and we are used to eating what we want, as much as we want, and when we want. Regardless of what you may have heard, the good news is that there are no rights and wrongs about healthful eating for folks with diabetes. For people who don't have diabetes, the food we eat is usually turned into blood sugar. Normally, the body can produce enough insulin to allow the body to use this sugar. For people with diabetes, healthful eating is important for at least 4 reasons. Because we do not produce enough insulin, or the insulin is not able to work well, sugar is not utilized and stays in the blood. High blood sugar causes many short and long-term problems. Many people with diabetes are overweight. This adds to the problem of high blood sugar. Losing just 5% or about 10 pounds for someone who is 200 pounds can make a big difference, especially on blood pressure. The number one cause of death for someone with diabetes is heart disease. This can be caused by high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Both of these can be helped by watching the types of foods we eat. If you have high blood pressure, it is also important that you be on blood pressure medications. For people with diabetes, keeping your blood pressure in check is really important. Let's look at the things that determine that we are eating healthfully. 10 guidelines for healthy eating. 1. Eat a variety of foods. Number 1. Eat a variety of foods so the body gets all the nutrients it needs to function well. Some people say eat the rainbow. To do this, try to eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, dairy products, and if you like, meat and fish. Eat different things every day and watch how much the portion of what you eat. Number 2. Eat meals and snacks regularly. This allows time for the body to produce and use enough insulin so the body has the energy it needs throughout the day. Eating at least 3 times a day and spacing these meals out at regular intervals during the day is important. The number of meals and the time between meals may vary. Many of us eat 3 regular meals a day every 4 to 5 hours, but some people may need to eat smaller meals more frequently throughout the day, such as 4 to 6 times a day. Eating only 1 or 2 meals is not a great idea, as this can cause both very high blood sugar after eating and very low blood sugar when you have not eaten for many hours. Number 3. Eat breakfast every day. This is important because it helps fuel the body after a long night of resting and fasting. It gives us the energy to start the day's activities. If you are trying to lose weight, eating breakfast will help with this. Number 4. Eat about the same amount of food from day to day. This helps with weight loss and helps maintain an adequate, even amount of energy for the body throughout the day. It will make it easier to manage your blood sugar and take medications at the same time every day. Number 5. Be aware of how much you eat of each food. It is easy to confuse serving size with portion size. A portion is how much you put on your plate. A serving size is the amount we use to calculate the nutrients in our food. Thus, if a serving size of rice is 1/3 of a cup, and if you eat a portion of 1 cup of rice, you have actually eaten 3 servings. This is not necessarily bad, but you should be aware of how much carbohydrate and fat you are eating so you can make good choices. Number 6. Limit sweetened and sugary drinks. Number 7. Limit salty foods and use of extra salt. Number 8. Choose good fats that are better for your heart, such as olive and canola oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. Number 9. Go for whole grains, such as brown rice instead of white rice, and whole grain bread and pasta instead of white bread and pasta. Number 10. Limit processed foods. Introduction to action plans. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to think about the changes we want to make or the activities we want to accomplish. They seem too big to work on all at once, which makes it hard to get started. To help with this, we have one of the most important self-management tools in our toolbox, action planning. Action plans allow us to achieve what we want or decide to do by breaking down the activity into smaller, more doable steps or tasks. For example, a person who decides to improve fitness might break this goal into one of the following steps as their first weekly action plan. One plan could be to research what type of exercise to do. Another action plan might be to find a place to exercise, such as a warm water swimming pool or an exercise class. Starting an exercise program by walking for 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a week could be a good action plan. Or to read about exercise in the Living a Healthy Life book. Or to ask a friend to exercise with you. We would not do all the steps at once. Rather, we need to get started by deciding which one step we are going to work on this week and exactly how we are going to do it. Now, make an action plan for yourself. Here are the steps for making a successful plan. Parts of an action plan. Number 1, something you want or decide to do, not what someone else thinks you should do or that you think you should do. Number 2, achievable, something you can expect to be able to do this week. Number 3, action specific. For example, gaining or losing weight is not an action or behavior, but adding or avoiding snacks between meals is. Gaining or losing weight is the result of actions. Number 4, answer the questions. What specific action? For example, walking or replacing junk food snacks with fruit. How much? Time, distance, amount. For example, 30 minutes or 4 blocks or 1 serving. When? Time of day or which days of the week. For example, after dinner or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. How often? Number of times in the week. For example, 3 times. Avoid every day. If something comes up, it's better to have succeeded when you say you'll do something 3 times rather than to feel you failed if you've done it 6 times. You feel even better if you do it 7 times when you've said you'll do it 3 or 5 times. Number 5, confidence level of 7 or more. Ask yourself, on a scale of 0 equals not at all sure to 10 equals totally sure, how sure am I that I will complete the entire action plan? If you rate your confidence below a 7, you might want to look at the barriers and consider reworking your action plan so that it's something you are confident that you can accomplish. It's important that you succeed. Remember, action plans must be something you want or decide to do, and they also must be achievable. That is, you can expect to achieve it in the next week. In the next session, we'll be talking more about healthy eating, preventing low blood sugar, and problem solving. We'll also be thinking about how we did on our action plans and making new ones. This session, we have talked about the importance of balancing blood sugar and why it is important to do home glucose monitoring. For homework, we'd like you to do 2 things. On 2 days, 1 work day and 1 non-work day, do the following. Monitor your blood sugar once in the morning before eating, once 2 hours after a meal, and once after exercising. If you do not know how to monitor your blood sugar, or if you do not have a glucose meter, we suggest you contact or look at the website for the American Diabetes Association to find out where you can learn this skill or ask your medical provider or diabetes educator. Write down all the food you eat on these 2 days and take note of what you learn. Pay special attention to your blood glucose readings after eating. Are they different? Did you eat differently at the 2 meals? Did you do something active before either meal? Also, please review the Managing Diabetes and Healthy Eating chapters in your book. Pay special attention to the food guide. We'll practice using this guide next session.